Hi, I'm Shaun Brown, the product marketing manager at Gatling, and welcome to our series of product tours. Today, we will be looking at insights and analytics, a deeper understanding of how Gatling unlocks powerful reporting and communication through our Enterprise Edition software. Okay, so why can reporting and load testing be difficult to do and to get value back to your stakeholders? Oftentimes, workflows are siloed and fragmented, which means that the test results live in isolation and not in the context of business value or business needs. This leads to a perception of load tests being sort of like a nice to have and not an essential thing to communicate and deliver value as a business. It's also hard to share and contextualize the reports. They're like in PDF form or maybe even just printed out in your console. This makes it difficult to share them with non-specialists and to show exactly what was determined from the test and how to move forward to improve your application. Additionally, one of the big challenges with load testing is that is limited integration with other metrics. So, how can you compare your load test results to your server performance, for example? And this is something that isn't easy with traditional tooling, but something that we will talk about today and how Gatling can improve this for you. Okay, so what is it that we really want to achieve with enhanced insights and analytics? We want to break silos, accelerate decision making, and unlock the full visibility of load testing across your organization. And how are we going to do that? We're going to deliver advanced metrics that give you deep insights into how your application is performing as far as users see it under stress. Built-in dashboards that give you what you need up front without you having to like build it yourself or try to tweak it in some weird way. The ability to collaborate and share with on the results, whether that's like your coworker being able to log in and see the test that you ran, or sending a link to a report or custom report to a manager who needs to know what's going on and how to fix things. And finally, being able to integrate your load testing into your APM. So I'll show at the end of the presentation how our new Datadog integration lets you do just that. When we talk about advanced metrics, what are we really talking about? We're talking about kind of standard load testing metrics, like being able to see things like concurrent virtual users and the maximum request and response per second, error types, and frequency. But we're also talking about being able to do more than that. We're talking about custom grouping and logic. We're talking about getting connection metrics like TCP and TLS, complete DNS resolution metrics, and status codes throughout the reporting. Additionally, really critical is having insights onto your load generator performance. If you are maxing out your load generator, your test results will look like your application is failing when in fact it was the load generator that was having a problem. So we are sure to include those so that you can make sure that you're testing your application and not testing the load generator itself. Built-in dashboards. This is the ability to like transform your data to answer the questions that you need to improve performance for your application. One of the biggest ways that we addressed this recently was a totally revamped run trends and comparison feature. This gives you the ability to solve sort of two problems side by side. The first one is getting an instant snapshot of how your test has performed over the last 10 up to 10 runs. This will tell you like the response status code, kind of like okay versus error code responses for in percentage or in absolute values over the last 10 runs. You look at it, you know within 5 seconds how things went. Then you can dive in with our run comparison feature and get really into the details, looking at request level changes from one run to another, add tags to the run for where there's something that needs to be investigated further, cycle through different metrics to see the difference between maybe the response time and the error codes to see how they overlap or don't with each other. And all of this is in a really interactive environment that will feel native and friendly to you in the UI. Next, I just want to touch briefly on collaboration. The best load test in the world is valueless if it stays in a folder on your laptop and nobody else knows that it happened. So, our Enterprise Edition is built around being able to share and communicate results as a touchstone of good testing practices. To make this work, we basically offer a series of things like the ability to mark on your test interesting points, whether it's like a bad error code increase or maybe it's an improvement in the performance of the application. Then, once you've done that, you can create custom reports. You can create public links that allow people that don't have credentials to access the platform to access just that single test result. You can export into PDF and CSV, and you can push the data to where your team is. We have Slack and Teams integrations, and we can also help you get set up to integrate directly into Jira through a webhook if that's something that you're interested in. Finally, you don't have to worry about losing your data. We have data retention plans to fit all organizations and make sure that you save the test results that you need to go back to, whether it's like seasonally because of seasonal usage patterns or because of requirements that you have through various regulatory agencies. I'll just deep dive for 1 second on custom reporting. We can take your report, your results, and create a report where you can add just the graphs or charts that you need. You can add comments. You can organize them the way that you want. And this gives you the ability to communicate the most important things to the right stakeholders at the right time so that you can drive business value at the end of the day. And finally, Gatling doesn't live in isolation. We strongly believe in being integrated with the best tools on the market to make sure that you can perform what you need and get the results that you need in a timely fashion. So just in the last year, we released a brand new integration with Datadog that lets you be able to push your Gatling test results to the Datadog platform, where now you can correlate your load test results against your infrastructure performance and pick up how, when load increases, it affects your server or it affects a database. This gives you the ability to instantly determine where to go next to find the culprits in performance and address them before your customers notice. Okay, now let's move on to a more exciting part and look at a quick demo of reporting in the Gatling Enterprise platform. I'm just going to switch over to our platform right here. And let me just make the screen full size so you can see everything. And let's go for a little quick tour of reporting. I've opened a single test in the platform called stress test. And if you look on the left-hand side, you can see that we have the number, the runs for the test in order. There's 10 of them in here. Then in the main panel, we get the trends that I pointed out before, where you can see how many responses with error codes versus okay responses in any particular run. So like in this case, you have a 9% error occurrence and the other 91% are okay. I can toggle those to show you the values of the total number of requests. And again, it's easy to go back at any time. There's other helpful high-level charts in this view, including the response time percentiles and the throughput. Now here's where the real magic happens. I can compare runs and go over here on the left-hand side and pick some runs to compare. So let's pick just 2 runs today to keep this really simple. I'm going to pick the first run and I'm going to go pick the last run. So imagine in this scenario, we had somebody trying to improve their application through a series of changes to the code over time. Now we can see in run number 1 in green, let's see, we're looking at the 99th percentile response time. We can see over time, huge increase in the response time. not good. And we can see that by run 10, the problem is solved and the response time is basically the same regardless of throughout the test. If we go back and change here, we can change which thing we're looking at. Let's change to concurrent users. Okay, we can see concurrent users stayed lower in run 10 versus run 1. This is because they're not getting hung up, not because there's less total users being injected. It's the exact same injection profile. This is showing us that we've improved the application and that this is a way that we can communicate real value to the stakeholders. Now, maybe I need to know more about what was so great about run 10 or what was so bad about run 1. Let's take run 1, for example, and let's go look at it. I can end comparison mode, go over here, open run 1, and now I get into our deep metrics on this run. We have 3 tabs of interest in this view. There's a summary tab, a report tab, and a logs tab. Let's start with the summary tab because this is the place that if you're not an everyday user, you'll get a lot of value. You can have information here about who ran the test, any comments that a reviewer of the test might leave. This is fully editable by people who have the right permissions in the application. You can record who ran the test and where the test was run. From here, we can also look at the high-level results. We can see that we had assertions failed. These are like our service level objectives on the test. We know that they failed right away. No having to hunt around to find them someplace else. And as we scale down, we get the highest level overview of the test results. There's that error ratio, 9%. Total requests, 100,000. Maximum concurrent virtual users, 1,000. And the P95 response time of 7 seconds and 359 milliseconds. Ouch. We also get the high-level look at requests and responses per second and the response time percentiles over the duration of the test. There's also a short summary of the error codes here at the bottom of the summary page. Now, that's just a summary. That's great if you just need to kind of swoop in and see what's going on. But what if you need to know more about this test? Let's try to go to the report tab. The report tab captures all of the detail analysis from the test. At the top, we have this request timeline. This actually lets you change the analysis window. So we don't really care about these tails where nothing's going on. We can zoom those out, and all of the rest of the graphs change dynamically based on what you do here. Then we can scroll down through the test results and look at the details in each area. So here's that request and response per second again, and we can see when we were near the peak of the test, we had this huge increase in the number of errors. This area might be of interest to us to look at what else was going on during this time. If I right click, I can add a marker. And when I add that marker, it's propagated across all the other time series charts in here. So now we can correlate without having to like print things out and try to line them up with each other on our desks. Or worse, trying to do it by taking screenshots and lining the screenshots up. Okay, I'm just going to scroll through some of these and give you a little bit of an idea of what the other things that are included in the reports. We have groups. Groups are something that you can build into your test with test as code. And what it does is allows you to segment your populations. So in this test, there's 2 populations. There's one that originates in France and one that originates in the United States. And then inside each of those, we have the actions that they were taking during the scenario. So if I pick the US group, I can see now details for that group alone. And if I go up here and switch to the French group, I will get slightly different results because at the end of the day, the infrastructure behaved slightly differently for this different population. As I keep moving down, we have a tab for virtual users. Here, we can look at the arrival rate, the termination rate, and the concurrent virtual users. We have a connections tab. This is where you get information about TCP connections by state, duration percentiles. You'll get your TLS handshake duration percentiles and the bandwidth usage during the test. We have a DNS tab. This gives you information about the DNS resolution per second during the test and the duration percentiles for DNS resolution as well. And finally, we have the load generators tab, where we can look and see what happened to the load generators during the test. So I'm going to hone in on one particular example from here, which is the CPU usage in percentile. This is a known culprit with load tests. If you saturate the CPU on the load generator, your test doesn't mean very much. We can look at this quickly. We can see, we didn't get over about 6% on the CPU usage on the load generator. We're great. We don't have to worry that the load generator is causing the problem. This was really an application issue. All right, so now I'm going to go back up to the top and just quickly show you one more detail here in the detailed reporting, which is the logs tab. The logs tab won't give you much information on this particular test, but normally this is basically recording what happens during the load generator deployment. It isn't logs for the test itself, like the detailed requests, but it will give you hints about what happened while the load generators are being deployed. And if there's an issue in that process, it is captured here. Finally, let's see what we could do if we wanted to communicate this data to stakeholders. I can create a custom report. I can come in here and you can see if without making any changes, I have information about the assertions added automatically. I have a summary table with all of the requests, including their incoming and outgoing counts and the response times with the response time thresholds that we most typically see in load testing. And then I start to have my charts added in here. I don't know, maybe response time percentiles in this format isn't very valuable to my stakeholders. I can just delete it. Maybe I'm happy with it like this. I can preview and print a PDF. I get this. I can print. And now I'm off to the races and I can save this and send this to my stakeholders so that they have input on what's going on with our application. Let's cancel out of here and let's go look at one more thing. I mentioned earlier on a couple of times about Datadog. So let's go see what it looks like in the Datadog platform. So I've run my test. I've set my system up to be able to send my load test metrics to Datadog. And here I am inside the Datadog platform where I can see my response times in Datadog. I can get my throughput and bandwidth. These are the same data that I can get inside of Gatling. So where's the real value? This isn't the best example, but I can also track what's going on with my internal infrastructure here. And this would allow me to compare what was going on with my infrastructure during the load test. So I can see like, oh, the error rate spiked and like internally there was a problem with my database. The calls were really slow or like backed up or something with the database. So this is where you can more clearly and instantly make connections between your infrastructure behavior and what users see through the load test as a proxy for that, allowing you to more quickly find solutions to your performance issues. That's it for this product tour. We have a bunch more of these coming up. Sign up and stay tuned, and we hope to see you in the next one.